What actually happens when you shoot a gun that costs as much as a used car, right next to one that costs less than a night out? No brand loyalty, no hype, just trigger time. Today, we're putting a near $10,000 handgun against budget pistols and testing the one thing nobody wants to talk about. Do expensive guns really shoot better? Or are we just paying for the feeling? This video is for educational purposes only and does not promote harm or unsafe use of firearms. Number 8. Beretta APX-A1. Carry when people hear $100 gun. This is the type of pistol they expect. Basic, compact, no frills. And the Beretta APX-A1 carry fits that mental category, even though it costs more than a true bargain bin handgun. And that's exactly why it shocks people when you actually shoot it side by side with pistols costing thousands. The trigger isn't match grade, but it's consistent. The recoil isn't buttery smooth, but it's controllable. Accuracy at defensive distances is far better than most shooters expect, especially given its slim profile and short sight radius. Where the APX-A1 carry really surprises is reliability. It runs. Cheap ammo, mixed ammo, slow fire, rapid fire, it just keeps cycling. Now, does it feel like a $10,000 pistol? Absolutely not. You notice it in the grip texture, the slide finish, the trigger reset, and how recoil impulse feels sharper and less refined. There's no emotional wow factor when you rack the slide or press the trigger. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When rounds start going downrange, the practical difference narrows fast. At 7 to 10 yards, hits are hits. The APX-A1 carry proves that price doesn't automatically buy effectiveness. It buys refinement, comfort, and confidence. And for many shooters, especially in real-world defensive scenarios, that realization is the real shock. Number 7. Canik METE SFT. The Canik METE SFT is where the $100 gun versus $10,000 gun comparison starts to get uncomfortable for high-end pistols, because this is a budget-priced firearm that shoots like it has no business being in that category. From the first trigger press, the difference is obvious. Canik's factory trigger is clean, light, and crisp, in a way that embarrasses pistols costing several times more. On the range, the METE SFT tracks flat, returns to target quickly, and delivers accuracy that feels deliberate rather than lucky. When you compare it to ultra-expensive handguns, the biggest surprise isn't what the Canik lacks, but what it doesn't need. There's no hand-fitted mystique here, no boutique branding, yet practical performance stays shockingly close. Where the price gap finally shows is in refinement. Slide finish, long-term wear coatings, and the subtle smoothness you feel after hundreds of rounds. The METE SFT isn't polished, it's efficient, and that efficiency is why it changes minds. Shooting it next to a $10,000 pistol makes one thing painfully clear. Expensive guns buy prestige, tuning, and exclusivity, but they don't automatically buy better hits. At realistic distances, under realistic speed, the METE SFT delivers results that force shooters to question what they're actually paying for. And that's exactly why it belongs in this comparison. Number 6. FN509. Compact Tactical. The FN509 Compact Tactical lands in the middle of this comparison and quietly exposes the real difference between affordable guns and truly premium ones. This pistol isn't cheap, but it's nowhere near $10,000 either. Yet when you shoot it back-to-back with both budget and ultra-high-end handguns, it becomes clear why professionals trust FN. The recoil impulse is smoother and more predictable than lower-priced pistols, especially during rapid strings. The threaded barrel, suppressor height sights, and optics-ready slide aren't just features on a checklist. They actually work together to keep the gun stable and controllable. Accuracy feels intentional, not forced, and the gun forgives small grip or trigger mistakes that budget pistols don't. Compared to bargain guns, the difference is immediate. Better balance, less muzzle flip, and a sense that the gun is working with you. Compared to $10,000 pistols, though, the gap shrinks. You don't get the same hand-fitted smoothness or luxury trigger feel, but your hits on target look surprisingly similar. That's the shock factor. The FN509 Compact Tactical proves that the real leap in performance happens well before you reach extreme price tags. Past a certain point, you're paying for refinement, materials, and exclusivity, not dramatically better results downrange. Number 5. Shadow Systems DR920. The Shadow Systems DR920 is where the $10,000 gun versus $100 gun debate starts to feel genuinely uncomfortable. because this pistol sits in that space where performance jumps dramatically without the price going into fantasy territory. From the first magazine, the DR920 feels noticeably more refined than true budget guns. The recoil impulse is softer, the slide tracks flatter, and the gun returns to target faster, especially during controlled pairs and rapid strings. The grip texture locks your hand in without feeling abrasive, and the optics-ready slide with a match-grade barrel actually contributes to measurable accuracy, rather than just marketing appeal. Compared to cheaper pistols, the difference is real and immediate. You fight the gun less, and consistency comes easier. But when you put the DR920 next to a $10,000 handgun, the shock comes from how small the gap really is. Yes, the ultra-expensive gun feels smoother when you rack the slide, and the trigger may feel more polished. But once rounds start going down range, the results don't scale with the price. Groups stay tight, transitions stay fast, and practical accuracy remains nearly identical. The DR920 proves that beyond a certain point, money stops buying performance and starts buying refinement, exclusivity, and craftsmanship details most shooters won't notice under real conditions. That realization is exactly what makes this comparison so eye-opening. Number 4. Beretta PX4 Storm Compact. The Beretta PX4 Storm Compact is one of those pistols people underestimate, until they actually shoot it next to guns that cost several times more. On paper, it doesn't scream high-end. The design is unconventional. The rotating barrel looks gimmicky to some, and it rarely gets mentioned in luxury handgun conversations. But once you start firing it, the shock sets in. The rotating barrel system genuinely softens recoil and reduces muzzle flip, especially during rapid fire. The gun stays flatter than many striker-fired pistols in its price range, making follow-up shots faster and more controlled than expected. Accuracy is solid and repeatable, with the gun delivering consistent hits at defensive distances without demanding perfect technique. When compared to true budget pistols, the PX4 feels smoother, more balanced, and more forgiving. But when you place it beside a $10,000 handgun, the surprise is how close the results look on target. You don't get the hand-polished trigger or luxury finish, and the slide doesn't glide like glass, but the rounds still land where they should. The PX4 exposes a truth many shooters don't want to hear. Innovative engineering can sometimes close the performance gap faster than price ever will. Number 3. Taurus G. 3. Tactical, the Taurus G. 3 Tactical is where this experiment really messes with expectations, because it looks like a budget gun, yet it refuses to behave like one on the range. When you shoot it side by side with pistols that cost thousands, the first surprise is how controllable it feels. The full-size grip, threaded barrel, and added slide mass help soak up recoil better than most people expect, especially during fast strings. The trigger isn't refined or light, but it's predictable, and that matters more than price when you're trying to shoot consistently. Accuracy at realistic distances is solid, and the gun doesn't punish minor shooter errors the way cheaper, smaller pistols often do. Compared to truly high-end guns, you can feel where the money wasn't spent. The finish is basic, the slide action isn't silky, and the trigger reset lacks polish. But here's the shock. Once rounds are going down range, the performance gap shrinks fast. The G3 Tactical still puts hits where they belong, still runs reliably, and still holds up under rapid fire. What you're really paying for with a $10,000 gun isn't effectiveness, it's refinement, smoother mechanics, and brand prestige. The Taurus G3 Tactical proves that even a modestly priced pistol can deliver real-world performance that forces shooters to rethink how much money actually matters when it's time to pull the trigger. Number 2. Mossberg MC2AC. The Mossberg MC2C is a perfect example of why this $10,000 versus $100 comparison shocks so many shooters, because it delivers practical performance that far exceeds its price tag. At first glance, it looks simple. Clean lines, compact frame, no flashy branding. But once you start shooting, it becomes clear that Mossberg focused on function over flair. The trigger is consistent, the recoil impulse is manageable, and the grip angle naturally points the gun where you want it. At defensive distances, the MC2C produces tight, repeatable groups that don't feel accidental. Compared to true budget pistols, it feels more balanced and forgiving, especially during rapid follow-up shots. Now place it next to a $10,000 handgun, and the differences shift from performance to polish. You won't get the same glass-smooth slide or hand-fitted trigger, and the materials don't feel luxurious, but the hits on target tell a different story. The The MC2C still runs, still tracks, predictably, and still does exactly what a defensive pistol is supposed to do. That's the real shock here. When it comes to real-world shooting, this affordable pistol delivers results that challenge the idea that effectiveness has to come with an extreme price tag. Number 1. Sig Sauer P220 Elite. The Sig Sauer P220 Elite is the closest thing on this list to what people imagine a $10,000 handgun should feel like, even though it doesn't actually cost that much. From the moment you pick it up, the difference is obvious. The weight, the balance, and the all-metal construction give it a planted, confidence-inspiring feel that polymer budget guns simply can't match. When you start shooting, the smooth double-action or single-action trigger and heavy frame soak up recoil, making the gun incredibly stable during slow, deliberate fire. Accuracy is excellent, and the trigger break in single action feels refined and intentional. Compared to budget pistols, the gap is clear in comfort, smoothness, and shooting pleasure. But here's where the shock comes in. When you compare the P220 Elite to truly ultra-expensive handguns, the performance difference isn't as dramatic as the price suggests. The hits don't suddenly become tighter, and speed doesn't magically increase. What you're really paying for is craftsmanship, materials, and a premium shooting experience rather than radically better results. The P220 Elite proves the central truth of this experiment. Once a gun reaches a certain level of quality, price stops buying effectiveness and starts buying feel, heritage, and refinement. Outro. After shooting all of these side by side, one thing becomes clear. Price doesn't automatically equal performance. Expensive guns feel better, look better, and carry prestige. But when it comes to real hits on target, the gap isn't always what you expect. Let me know which one surprised you most, hit like if this challenged your thinking, and subscribe for more honest, real-world firearm comparisons.